Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio and welcome to week 45 of the Stash Buster block series. This week our block is called Silent Star. It is made with 2 colors and half square triangles and quarter square triangles. So I hope you'll join me and I'll show you how to make this block. Here are the fabrics that you're going to need for the Silent Star block. From your main fabric, you're going to need 3 pieces that are 5 1/4 inches square, and you'll need 2 pieces that are 4 7/8 inch square, and then you'll need the same from your background fabric. So there's 3 that is 5 1/4 and 2 that are 4 7/8. And what we're going to do is make half square triangles and quarter square triangles. So on all of your background pieces, you're going to want to draw a diagonal line from one corner to the next with a straight edge and a pencil or a marker of some kind, of fabric marker. And this is going to be a cutting line as well as a guideline for stitching. And we're going to start with the half square triangles. So we're going to take the smaller squares, which are the 4 7/8, and we're going to pair those up with the 4 7/8 inch main fabric, and we're going to put those right sides together and sew a 1/4 inch away from this drawn line on both sides. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stitch 1/4 inch away from both sides of this line, and I have my 1/4 inch piecing foot on, and I have a 50 weight thread in the needle and the bobbin. And then I'll just swing that around and do the other side. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the other pieces. And when you draw your diagonal line, make sure you draw it on the wrong side of the fabric and not the right side. So we'll put the right sides together and line up the raw edges and just sew. Now this is a 12 inch square block. So it's a nice size. And of course you can always resize this to make a smaller block if you want. Okay, now that they're sewn on both sides of that drawn line, I'm going to cut right on that drawn line. And I'm just going to use my scissors because they're right here and handy, but you can use your rotary cutter if you want. And now I'm going to go ahead and press, and I'm going to press towards the dark fabric. So I'm going to fold the dark fabric out. So we'll have that. So I'm just going to lay these with the dark side up and press it the way it's sewn and then flip it back. Okay, I'm going to trim off these dog ears because they just create bulk and they don't, they can interfere with your precision, so I like to trim them off. Okay, next thing we're going to do is the quarter square triangles. So on the wrong side of your background fabric, you want to have a line drawn from one corner to the next. And we're going to start out by making a half square triangle. So you take your main color, put them right sides together, and sew a 1/4 inch away on both sides of this drawn line here. Okay, so we're going to do the same as we did with the 4.5 inch or 4 7/8 inch squares. So you can streamline this and do all your half square triangles at one time. Okay. I'm going to show you how to do 1/4 square triangle first. So now we're going to cut on that drawn line again. Okay, and now we're going to press. Okay, we're going to press towards the dark again. Just press that right out. Do the same to the other piece. Okay. Now I'm going to trim off my dog ears to eliminate the bulk and help improve my accuracy. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is to lay these so that the fabrics are opposite each other. We have green, white, white, green. And now we're going to lay these on top of each other like this. And then draw a straight line from one corner to the other in this direction. So I'm going to do a straight edge and my pencil and draw a straight line from one corner to the next. Okay, and I'm making sure I've got my seams nested together. So you want those snugged up against each other. And if you need to, go ahead and pin that. To make sure they don't shift on you. Okay, now we're going to sew a 1/4 inch away on both sides of this drawn line. Okay, so now we're ready to sew. My seams are all nested together. Swing this around and sew the other side. Get my loose threads out of the way. Okay. And neighbor's dog's barking. Okay, so now I need to just cut on this drawn line. So I'm going to use my scissors again. Then when we open that up, we have a 1/4 square triangle. So we're going to take these to the ironing surface and press these open. Okay, so I'm going to press them flat and then press them open. And do the same to this one. Okay, now I've got 2 dog ears on here, so I'm going to go ahead and trim them off. Okay, so okay, now you need 5 total quarter square triangles to make this design. So we have 2 squares left of each color, so this will give us a total of 6 quarter square triangles. You only need 5 for this design, so you'll have 1 left over. So you can use that for another project or put it in another block. If you're making a quilt full of this particular block, then you kind of got 1 ahead for each block that you make. So I'm going to go ahead and finish making these, and then we will lay out the quilt block and sew it together. Now we're ready to lay out the block, and our half square triangles will go in the corners, and the main color is going to face out, so those are going to go this direction. And then we have the quarter square triangles, and the colors are going to face the white of these 2 blocks. Now on this row they're going to do the same, so they're going to go this direction, and in the center we're going to turn it, so it's going to go this direction. So we've got, in this row we have the middle row, they alternate. This row is all going to be the same. Okay, now we're going to sew the pieces into rows, and then we'll sew the rows together, and we've got seams that we've got to match in each row, and we've got these diagonals. These 2 are going to meet together, and these 2 are going to meet. Now if you can turn your quarter square triangle so that these seams will nest together, like on this one they will do that, and you can see that they nest together, so that will make a good seam for me there. But there may come a point where you've got seams that are pressed in the same direction. Okay, on these two seams will go together. These two seams will nest together. These 2 will not, because they're pressed the same direction. But if I turn this one this direction, then they're both pressed to, they're both pressed in opposite directions here and in here, so I'll be okay. These 2 are in opposites, and these 2 are in opposites, so I've got those going all right. And here, these are also the same, so it'll come down to when I am sewing the rows together. On here they may not all meet, but we'll just do what we have to do to get our seams together. So right now I'm going to do row number 1, and we'll take this over to the sewing machine. Okay, so my seams are all nested together. I can tell that by feeling, and just sew these 2 pieces together. And get my raw edges lined up there. My dog is underneath me, so you may hear some strange noises, but she's underneath the sewing table. Okay, and then we'll add this one, and these seams will nest together here too, so we're doing good here. Okay, here is row number 1, and let's do row number 2. Okay, on this one I've got the seams that are nesting on both ends, so just watch those. And there we go. Okay, and then the next quarter square triangle, and those 2 seams are nesting also. the last row. And I've got this seam down here nested, so that should turn out good. And last piece. And it's also, the seams are nested down here at the bottom. Okay. And there is that row. So now we need to press, and then we'll sew the rows together. Okay, I am going to press away from this center quarter square triangle and press towards the half square triangles on this row and on the bottom row. And then for the middle, I'm going to press towards the center. So we're going to go this direction. And that'll help these rows nest together at these seams. Okay, and then press these out. Okay, now we have more points to meet. So we've got a point here needs to match this point. This one needs to match here, and then the same thing when we're down here. And then on top of that, we've got these diagonal seams need to meet on both the top and the bottom right here. So we're going to work on that. And I'm going to start with the middle, and I'm going to use my little pin trick, and right where the seam lines cross, I'm going to put a pin, so that'll be right at the point of the tip of the point there, and then put it in here where all of those points come together. And make sure my seams are nested together. And then I'm going to pin it in place, and then do the same here. Go right through the point into the points below, and pin in place. Okay, and then these seams here, this one will nest together because the seams are pressed in opposite directions, and this one, they aren't pressed in opposite directions. So I'm just going to line them up like that the best I can, and then pin them in place. And then we'll see how that turns out. So let's sew these two rows together. Okay, let's see how this turns out. Now when I get to these points here, I'm going to watch where those lines, those stitching lines cross, and I'm going to stitch just to the right side of that point so that I don't cut the point off. And then do the same here. See my point right there. here's where the seams are stacked on top of each other. So let's see how this hat works out. Not too bad. Okay, so here are the first 2 rows, and let's add the last row. And I'm just going to use the same techniques to match up all my points. And need to match up the seams down here. Okay, so now let's go press the seams and see how this block looks. Okay, I'm going to press the seams flat first. And then I'll press them open. I'm going to press to the outside here. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. Okay. Okay, so here is the finished block. This is the Silent Star block. It's an 8-pointed star. It's made with half square triangles and quarter square triangles. And it really isn't too difficult to make. You do have points to match, but I think if you get a little practice at that you'll find that it isn't too hard to do. So next I want to show you what 4 of these blocks set in a straight set look like. I have 4 of the Silent Star blocks on my design wall, and I have them all facing the same direction. Now this block looks really symmetrical, but it is a little bit different. If you look in the middle row of each block, you can see how the quarter square triangles are all set in the same direction. But when you look at the middle row going from top to bottom, they are alternated. So what I'm talking about is this row here, how they're all in the same direction. But then you go this way, you've got the greens horizontal here, but they're vertical here. So they alternate. But when you look at this row, they're all facing the same direction. So what you can do, you can give it a little bit of a different look by turning every other block. Turn that one, and then I will turn this one, and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, so there is that look. So it isn't a whole lot different, but it is a little bit different. So we've got, you can look at the center. This block, they're all going this direction, but in this block, they're going the same direction in this row. So overall, the appearance really isn't a whole lot different, but it is a little bit. So there's one block that you could turn and get a little bit different look. It's going to look the same in the center. It's going to look like a square and a square there, no matter what you do. But anyway, that is the Silent Star block.
Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my latest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.